bystanders at the newsstands. We are in Ogba Ikeja today, and we're having our wonderful reviewers here with us. We are saying a big welcome to all our viewers all around Nigeria and also the world. We are at a very critical moment in the country, and it is our responsibility to do our best to give our quota to the society. Let's move over to the newspaper headlines this morning. I have with me the Vanguard newspaper, and also have with me the Nation newspaper. Let's look at what the Nation is saying this morning. Above the masthead, Dangote Cement gets 22.3 billion tax credit for fixing roads. Wow. Dangote Cement gets 22.3 billion naira tax credit for fixing road. From INEC, delay of electoral bill passage threatens 2023 elections. The delay of the electoral bill passage threatens 2023 elections. Fidelity Bank records 53.9% profit growth. Now below the masthead, the main headline, Nigeria can't afford another civil war. Osibajo warns that Nigeria cannot afford another civil war. Oni Sultan caution against secession calls. Oni and Sultan of Sokoto cautions against secession calls. Abaribe is saying that government creating room for disintegration. Abaribe is saying that government is creating room for disintegration. Looking at the column of the paper, the side column, gunmen hit more police assets in attacks. More police assets have been hit by gunmen. 2 policemen killed. Hotelier, wife murdered. Gunmen are attacking more police assets in the nation. Now for the Lagos amputee, Lagos withdraws 25 million donation to amputee trader over false claim. Remember the woman that was an amputee that was identified by Lagos State and well-wishers, and she was supported. But there's a story here this morning that Lagos is withdrawing 25 million naira donation to this amputee over false claims. We'll look at that story later. And let's go over to the Vanguard newspaper this morning. The Vanguard newspaper, what's the Vanguard saying? Above the masthead, PDP, Ohaneze, MBF, Pandev back UK's call on FG to amend Electoral Act. The PDP, Ohaneze, MBF, Pandev, they are backing UK's call on FG to amend the Electoral Act. Now, this is from Osibajo. Nigeria can't afford another civil war from Osibajo. Nigeria cannot afford another civil war. Below the masthead, we have Senator escapes death in Kogi State. Senator escaped death in Kogi State. Gunmen killed 2 policemen in Akwa Ibom. Hotelier wife in Ogun. Akwa Ibom, gunmen killed 2 policemen, and hotelier and his wife is being killed by the same gunmen in Ogun. Nigeria in trouble. That is the main headline for the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Nigeria in trouble. Security architecture of no use. Nigeria in trouble. Security architecture of no use. That is from the Southwest and South governors. President's security architecture can neither guarantee effective policing nor address challenges. That is from Governor Akeredolu. He said, adds no consistent policy to manage as NSAS aftermath. FG has to sit up. Situation not partisan. President, all around him must rise to the occasion. He's saying that Governor Kwai is saying that President and all those around him must rise to the occasion of insecurity and partisan politics in the country. And looking at the down parts of the paper this morning, Fidelity Bank announces 53.9% PBT growth despite inflation we are having. Let's move over to our reviewers this morning. I have with me Mr. Chigozie this morning. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Christian. Shout out to SM viewers. So how is the day today?
Right. Now, Osibajo is saying that Nigeria can't afford another civil war. I want to respond to that statement from him.
Nigeria can't afford another civil war. Well, those who make peaceful resolution impossible invariably will make, of course, a violent resolution inevitable. That is war. When you make a peaceful resolution impossible, then you are given chance for another war. So there is no two ways about that. You either make way, pave way for peaceful resolution, or you pave way for the state of anarchy, which we are already trapped in within this contraction called Nigeria. So what the elder statesman in person of the vice president of the Nigerian states, his position now is irrelevant because he have kept moves. He has not been talking for some years now. And he has not been discussing on the issues that is bedeviling us. They said that an air of confidence inspires trust. If you have been speaking to the people, to the Nigerian masses, probably ensuring them or relating to them what are your plans, what are you doing to ensure that the fabric of our existence and unity is being revived. They kept mute and at this time you are talking. So I don't consider it a serious statement because we are already caught up by this state of anarchy.
When you say peaceful resolution possible, what do you mean by them not allowing peaceful resolution?
Yes, peaceful resolution. By that I mean, unfortunately, that cannot work in Nigeria. Why? Because in a civilized world, the important tool used in conflict resolution is dialogue. Both parties can create an enabling environment where they can come together and iron out issues that borders on their interests so that they can arrive at a more, at a point where both parties' interests will not be jeopardized at that table of negotiation. And that is what we have been calling. But Nigeria governments do not resort to that. They rather resort to the use of violence, the use of arms. Silence the agitators, to intimidate the agitators who are crying out as a result of marginalization, as a result of injustice meted to them. And you beat a child and you expect him not to cry. That is just a typical example of the Nigerian state. People that are crying as a result of marginalization, deprivation over the decades, which led, of course, to the civil war, the civil war. And such issues has not even been addressed, not even an iota of such issues. Rather, it has aggravated. The situation has gone beyond control. They feel more marginalized, more depressed. Look at the use of arms by the state itself to silence those agitators who have legitimate concern, who meant well for the country. So the only way we would have escaped this imminent doom is calling for national sovereign conference. And the instrument used in that resolution of conflict is dialogue. Let both parties, each region should come up with their, of course, grievances and iron them out. But Nigerian government intentionally refused to create such enabling environment that will allow the nationalities within this contraction called Nigeria to discuss the way forward, to discuss our continuity as a people. You see, they do not consider that as an option. Rather, they resort to kill, destroy, and keep on intimidating people so that you can subjugate them, you can subject them to a point of surrender. But that they got it wrong. And of course, they have tried that, and you can see the price, the costly price the Nigerian state is paying. The money that should have been meant for, of course, development, if building of infrastructures have been diverted to the fights of insurgency. Look at how many trillions that have been expended on Boko Haram saga. Is Nigeria winning the war? Nigeria is losing economic wise. They are losing their security operatives, personnel. So they are losing even the territory. So Nigeria is the greatest victim of this war, of this conspiracy. See? So they have not learned their lesson either. And it's unfortunate that we found ourselves in this dilemma. So the vice president should go and sit down. And if he wants to take a part of honor, let him tender his resignation, because he is part of this system that have failed Nigerian woefully. And that may be, of course, a blessing in disguise, because this dispensation of Buhari and Osibanjo is facilitating the solution of the Nigerian state.
Okay, now that this is getting to the senators and those in power, do you think that there will be changes? Do you see any proactive measures that will be taken?
Yes, of course, they came under the mantra of change. So what we are experiencing now is a change, is dynamism. Unfortunately for them, the change they meant is not what they are receiving now. They came under the mantra of change with their deceptive propaganda. Now, it is now telling on them, because Nigeria is almost at the state of insolvency, even as a state, as a sovereign state. You could no longer cater for your basic needs without sourcing for external loans. You see, does that suggest you are living? You are the state of insolvency, and the only thing now is to just to declare the access and let everybody part his way. So because it is no longer sustainable, the economy is no longer sustainable. Look at the height, look at the inflation rates. So all these indices suggest that there is serious problem than what they imagine, what they think to have come up to the point of accepting. So they have been living in denial. Then why can't we move forward? Because we have refused to move forward. For instance, the United States of America, we have about 52 states that constitute the United States of America. And they are living in relative peace and prosperity. Every state has its constitution. They come up with their own constitution, their own policy. They control their own resources within their enclave, within their states, and decide how such resources should be managed. And today they are becoming more bigger and attractive to other community of nations. You see, because the founding fathers of America sat down and come up with constitution, with the policies on how to run a viable state. Over 200 years down the line, they are still waxing stronger than ever. Economic-wise, military-wise, technology-wise. So they are now dictating the pace for the world. Why? Because they allow each region to move and grow and develop at their own pace. You see, with the enormous resources, both human and natural, given to them within that locality. But can we see that happening in Nigeria? That is the only thing that would have averted the mayhem that is already before us.
Are we ready to tackle this problem?
Of course, I'm telling you that Nigerian government, we are practicing primitive mentality. Not until we get rid of that, we can never move forward as a people. Unfortunately, Africans are backward today, not because we lack the resources, Not because we don't know the way we wherewithal. Look at, we have very promising young Africans origins who are doing better, exceptionally well in different fields of endeavor across the communities of nations. But why can't Africa move forward? The people within the leadership hierarchy are the fundamental problem. Why we are not moving forward is because of the greedy and selfish leaders who only meant their selfish interests, well-being, and not for just the entire masses. In as much as we still have these people being recycled within the corridor of power, things will never move forward. We'll continue to be backward. And of course, we will never know peace within the African region.
So the solution is to kick them out.
That is the best option. But how do you go about that? It's unfortunate that the system does not allow the good hands to come in, because they surround themselves with their likes, and there's no way you can dislodge them easily because they have advantage, economic advantage, and by virtue of that economic political power, they wouldn't allow anybody that is not loyal to them or that will not, do their biddings to assume the position of authority, because they will feel threatened. Their dynasty will be threatened by such. That is the only thing that can move us forward as a people. And unfortunately, the only way that can lead us to that point is revolution. And that is not what we are canvassing now. What we are talking about now, we have exhausted the opportunity to discuss, to dialogue. Now is let everybody part his separate way. Of course, the North claims to have the advantage of majority. Now, I want to ask, is majority a disadvantage? Is it a cause? They claim to have over the 19 states out of the 36 states. Now, what are their contributions to the center, to the federal coffers? Why not turn that strength, that comparative strength, to their own advantage? If they claim to have the major population, the major states, the highest land mass, what is the advantage? What can they boast of? What can they bring out to the table for having such advantage? They should go, but why are they afraid of this, of separation? If they have such advantage over other regions, let them take their leave and develop themselves, rather than staying together in this state of mediocrity. And that can never move us forward. So each region should go their separate ways so that peace can reign. Otherwise, we'll continue to have casualties. Nigeria has become a banana republic, where even the militaries at this time, in recent past, they enjoy some level of peace. But now, even the militaries are being killed within the territory of the Nigerian states. The military are not meant to be seen along the streets. You see? But they are now interfering over internal security or internal conflicts. Look at most of them now, the military, with the military uniform, which is a symbol of dignity, which is a symbol of honor. They will be moving around, extorting, collecting money from these transporters with their military uniform. That is a Nigerian military for you. They have lost their public reputation. They have lost virtually everything. So they are more or less behaving like touts. That shouldn't be. With this, I can't even encourage anyone to join the military, because they have become, a mockery to the community of nations. Militaries, of course, down then I went to army school, army day school. I schooled there in my primary and part of my secondary. I saw the way they dress, I saw the way they comport themselves. They have high moral standards and discipline, well disciplined. But today, what are we? The reverse is the case. Because you allow people to, who are people that should serve the country with their whole heart and energy. You dislodge them and put your own people on the basis of ethnicity. This is what we are having as a people. So, for him saying that we can't afford another civil war, we are already in another civil war. It is ongoing, but in no distant time might take a dimension, a very devastating dimension, which nobody might escape. Nobody will escape. And the only way to avert that, let everybody go its separate way by conducting referendum. The federal government should allow and reconsider his position on referendum,
Okay.
so that people can decide where they intend to belong, and that will decide their fates.
Thank you very much. That's
You're
wonderful,
welcome.
Mr. Chigozie. Yeah, before we wait for other reviewers this morning, let's look at the electoral act that needs to be amended. The electoral act, like PDP or Hanese, MBF, Pandev, back UK's call on FG to amend electoral act. So let's look at page 8 of the newspaper this morning. Let's look at page 8. Before that, we have Mr. Matthew here this morning. Mr. Matthew, good morning.
Good morning.
Wow. How was your day?
Thank God, fine.
The Punch newspaper said there's no money. There won't be any money from the NNPC for states. May, April.
The issue is Nigerian government, they don't have ideas. They are idle. They don't know how to create wealth. It is no longer a news that Nigeria is operating on a mono economy. And under that circumstance, anything that affects the oil sector is going to leave the economy in crisis. So if other government is saying there is no, if NNPC is saying there is no substance, Nigerian government still import refinery. So the way it stands, because PMS, for instance, have multiple on our economy, it will be wrong for federal government to abruptly stop subsidizing it. Because when you stop subsidizing it, the implication is that it's going to spiral into other sectors of the economy.
What I meant was that there is no allocation for states. No allocation, no from the federal government. There won't be any allocation at all for May and April.
I don't think that is what they were trying to say. It is not possible that they will say there is no allocation. Because the money that accrued to Nigeria through import duty, through the sale of petroleum products, it does not belong to NNPC. It does not belong to federal government alone. Constitutionally, it belongs to the 3 tiers of government. So NNPC in the first place have no right to say there is no money for states.
They have no right.
They have no right. That's what I'm telling you. Okay, for you to understand what I'm saying, for federal government to even withdraw $1 billion for purpose of purchase of arms and ammunition, they needed the approval of the state governors. And this is the money that is gotten from excess crude, the money that is reserved, that federal government designate account where they keep money that comes from any money that is not disbursed, that comes from oil, it goes to that excess crude. So to tell you that even at that level, it belongs to the 3 tiers of government. When federal government needed to buy arms and ammunition with that money, they needed to get the consent of the state governors and the approval of the state governors, which they actually did before that fund was released in sometime 2018, when they needed to buy that Tucano jet and some other critical arms and ammunition for fight against insurgency. So what I'm saying in essence is NNPC is not the owner of the money, also the taste that there is no fund for them to share, except what they're trying to say in essence. Maybe the press did not report it properly. Maybe what they're trying to say is that because of the dwindling revenue, that there is not enough funds to be shared. If that's what they're saying, then the government should look inward and think of how to generate revenue.
Okay. Otibajo said Nigeria can't afford another civil war. Can you respond to that? Nigeria can't afford another civil war.
If you are saying Nigeria cannot afford another civil war, then the government should do the needful. Why am I saying this? It's unfortunate that no matter how patriotic any Nigeria is, by the time you get into Asu Rock, they jettison all the things they are known for. Otibajo, for instance, as a commissioner of justice in Lagos State, championed the idea of true federalism. When Lagos State government created additional local government development areas under the former president of Obasanjo, and federal government refused to release funds due to local governments in Lagos State, Osinbajo, as Attorney General of Lagos State, took that case to court. That case went through all the hurdles of litigation to Supreme Court, and he was able to win that case. But it's unfortunate that since he has become the vice president of this country, he has not been loud. He has not been spoken. We have not been hearing him speaking in terms of restructuring Nigeria, in terms of true federalism, in terms of devolution of power, and these are things he is known for. So if Osinbajo is saying we cannot afford civil war, quite agreed, war is bad. But what are they doing to mitigate it? Are they addressing things that is threatening the existence of Nigeria? All the factors that is necessitating the existential threat, is it being addressed? For me, it's not being addressed. Because for me, all these political class, they're only there for their pecuniary interests. They are not there for the interests of the masses. So the needful thing to do is to address the root cause of these challenges. To be quite honest with you, the average Nigerian is not happy with the government. And the government have always had opportunity to address all these issues, but they have always failed to address it. Look at when the federal government, the nation had the opportunity to address police brutality, police violation of human rights, and all that, where Nigerian youths stage protests in almost every town in the southern part of the country. Instead of the government addressing it, they went and started shooting on armed Nigerian youths at Lekki toll gate. So you see, Nigerian government, they are the architect of all this problem. Look at the time Nnamdi Kanu was in Nigeria, advancing and propagating this secession. He was moving from place to place, from state to state, sensitizing people and trying to drum support for Biafra nation. That he was doing, and he has the right to do it as entrenched in the UN Charter that Nigerian government is signatory to. But instead of Nigerian government having conversation and listening to him, what did we witness? What we witnessed was a genocidal military invasion in his Afaraku home, where he narrowly escaped death. So what I'm saying is that Nigerian government had always have opportunity of addressing all these issues, but they have always failed to address it. Perhaps because of their pecuniary interests, or perhaps because of ego. Look at a Sunday Igboho is already talking about Oduduwa Republic. What stopped federal government from bringing every secessionist leader on board and have a conversation? You discuss, you negotiate. If you have a superior argument and people can shift ground, even in one situation, it ends up on a round table. So this round table that the federal government is avoiding, it will come to a point where they can no longer avoid it. Because the way it stands today, there's insecurity in every strata of the society. And the dereliction of duty and negligence on the part of government is the major cause of this myriad of insecurity. And look at the other time, even the national security adviser, was quoted to have accused the former service chiefs of a likely misappropriation of funds meant to buy arms and ammunition. The various government authorities promised to do an investigation. Have we seen any meaningful investigation up to now? Definitely no. So what I'm trying to say in essence is the government is the architect of all these myriad of problems. And I've never seen an irresponsible and unprofessional military like the one we have in Nigeria. I'm saying it particularly because I've seen instances where they have acted in an unprofessional manner and it is not been checked. You could recall sometime in Taraba State where IG Special Squad went to arrest a notable kidnapping pen in the process of Wadume. Those police personnel were allegedly killed by Nigerian military personnel under the supervision of a captain of Nigerian army. At that level, Mr. President ordered the former chief of defense staff to constitute a panel to unravel the mystery behind the killing. The panel indicted the captain and now other soldiers. But as we speak, Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, the President of Malami, who took over the case, charged some person to court, some police personnel and some other person to court, leaving the military personnel and that captain, claiming that the military high command refused to surrender them for prosecution. Here we are, Mr. President is aware that those military personnel are not under prosecution and nobody is asking questions. And tomorrow you'll be blaming police for not doing a diligent work. Tomorrow you'll be blaming citizens for not cooperating with police. A situation where if you as a citizen, if there's a police brutality, there's a statutory killing, there's violation of human rights, the Nigerian police authorities will not do the needful to do a proper investigation and punish their own officers. So how do you want the citizens to cooperate with them? So what I'm trying to say is the blame, if there is a likely threat of civil war, the blame should be on the federal government. And the federal government should do the needful. Because if you look at, apart from almost all the myriad of insecurity you have in Nigeria is coming from the Fulani herdsmen. You can look at it from state to state, from region to region, from geographical zone to geographical zone. What is happening in the middle belt is purely a header host community clashes. What necessitated ESN in the southeast is purely as a result of excesses of the Fulani herdsmen. What we are witnessing in the southwest here, in Ibadan, in Ogun, that Ibarapa area, is purely Fulani excesses. What we witness in Delta, what we witness in Delta and some other states in the south is equally excesses of the Fulani herdsmen. What you are witnessing in the northwest, that the federal government is trying to change the narrative by calling them bandits, is equally Fulani herdsmen. Because this Shegumi, who happens to be in the know and where we tell of the operation of the bandits, have come out to tell the whole world that these people who go by the name bandits are Fulani herdsmen, who claim that their cars have been rustled, they now use it as an excuse to take to crime. So what am I saying? These Fulani herdsmen that the Global Terrorism Index say they are the fourth most dangerous terrorist organization in the world. Federal government seem not to be seeing them as such. And federal government seem not to be handling it as such. And until federal government realize the enormity of the nuisance that Fulani herdsmen constitute, we are not ready to solve the problem. And look at federal government, instead of addressing it, each time their approach, what they think is the solution is how to compensate and give the Fulani race a heritage. Look at the effort of federal government in trying to make Ruga, force Ruga on Nigerians. See how it crumbled. Look at the effort of the federal government in trying to come about with a livestock transformation plan. It has crumbled. Look at the effort of the federal government in trying to come about with water resources bill. A bill that seeks to seize land that is close to the sea and surface water and cede to federal government for purpose of allocating to herders for grazing. So what am I saying in essence? What I'm saying is that if Fulani want to do their business, just like any other human being in Nigeria, just like any other citizen, they should go to any state, any geographical zone, and seek for land legitimately. You can seek to buy, you can lease. If you need credit facility to build your ranch, you approach a bank, get the credit facility, and build your ranch. Not that federal government will be one shouldering the financial burden of your personal business. That is where the federal government is getting it wrong, because the federal government is operating on double standard. The way it stands today, it looks as if we have two classes of citizens, the Fulani and the others. And until federal government realize, because if you look at the way it is not a coincidence that almost every strata of the society, everybody is uniting against the Fulani. It is because of their excesses. It is because of their antecedents. It is because of what they stand for. It is because of how they have been maiming, killing, raping, kidnapping, and collecting ransom from citizens. So, and here we are, you see some government actors openly supporting their activities. Look at what the governor, one of the northern governors, not Masari, I'm talking of Bala Mohammed, the Bauchi governor. Look at what he was quoted to have said, that the Fulani man is a global citizen, that the Fulani man do not need a visa to move around across the globe, that the Fulani man carries arms and AK-47 for self-defense. Here we are in the same country. The military the other day recently went to Benue State to start ransacking and seizing arms and ammunition gun from some traditional rulers. Ordinarily, I would have said it is out of place and wrong for any person, no matter highly placed, even the traditional ruler, to bear arm. But under the current scenario, you not say because you don't have the right to bear arm, you allow the Fulani to be coming to your vicinity, your locality, be ransacking, raping, maiming, killing, harassing, intimidating, murdering your people. So I think what the Shaku said the other time is the way to go. I think the federal government should think of allowing citizens to bear arms. If they are not ready to disarm the Fulani, if they are not ready to disarm the bandits, if they are not ready to disarm the kidnappers, they should probably allow ordinary citizens to bear arms for self-defense. Because we cannot be living in the same society where some people are seen as superior to others. Some people bear arms unchallenged. If you are seen with the same category of arm, before you know it, the military will invade your house and you'll be rounded up, you'll be arrested. So what I'm saying is that federal government is the architect of the problem we are facing. Look at the issue of restructuring. We have been talking about restructuring every day, every year. We have been talking about it, that we have 68 items on the exclusive legislative list. I quite understand restructuring means different things to different people. There are people who see it as a way of resource control. There are people who see it as a way of devolution of power. Whichever way you look at it, what it implies is that the enormous power that is at the national, at the executive arm of government should be removed. Because there is no reason the command and control of Nigerian security system should be in Abuja. What we are saying is that things like security should be removed from exclusive legislative list and placed on concurrent list, so that the state governors, so that the state governments and federal government could have concurrent jurisdiction over things like security. And that is what is threatening the existence of Nigeria to its fabric. Nigeria's existence have never been this threatened, and the government ought to realize this and realize that it is high time they call for a roundtable discussion. And until they do that, they are not addressing this issue. Okay, look at what is happening in the Southeast now. A situation where the people embrace ESN, and the ESN is majorly fighting against the excesses of Fulani herdsmen. Look at how their commander, Ikonso, was summarily killed. The military initially claimed that the man was killed in a gun duel. But from what we are reading from different sources, all the newspaper, there's indication that the man was never killed in a gun battle. That the man was traced to his father's house and was killed. So the question is, if for any reason you arrest an individual, what prevents you from prosecuting him? What prevents you from taking him to court? What makes you, what gives you the right to kill the person extrajudicially? The same way Amana, Nigerian police and army colluded to kill Mohammed, who was leading Boko Haram at a time, before Boko Haram turned to the monster we now see today. What am I trying to say? That's why I say that Nigerian government has always had the opportunity to address all these issues. But the problem is that they have always looked the other way because they feel that ego is there. There's nothing stopping Nigerian government from engaging the youths when they were talking about NSAS. There are so many pertinent questions that they have not answered up to now. For instance, Nigerian government needed to answer the question of who deployed military to that toll gate. Nigerian government needed to answer questions like who disconnected the CCTV. Nigerian government need to answer the question like who put up light at that toll gate. Even the billboard that offers light at the toll gate to illuminate the environment, the light was equally put off. These are pertinent questions Nigerian government must answer. And here we are. If you see the report and investigation of CNN, where they chronicled how Nigerian government and where Nigerian government bought those arms and ammunition. Instead of Nigerian government doing the needful, they start tagging and labeling CNN as a partisan media organization. We have seen instances where even world-known bodies like Amnesty International we indict Nigerian government, indict Nigerian military, indict Nigerian police, indict Nigerian DSS as a result of their excesses, as a result of extrajudicial killing, as a result of violation of human rights. Instead of the Nigerian security agencies doing the needful by investigating their own officials, investigating their own officers, they will be tagging Amnesty International as a partisan organization. So what am I saying? The Nigerian government is the one that will seek for solution. The Nigerian government is the one that will resolve this issue. And it is high time that Nigerian government should call for a roundtable discussion. Because look at Smart Adeyemi, the senator from Kogi State, an APC senator. Look at his submission at the Harlow Chamber the other day. Look at the man from Niger State. Look at what is happening in Niger State. The local government of Shiroro Amuya is under the total control of insurgents, Boko Haram, even as we speak. A situation where they hoist their flag. What am I trying to say? It is high time Mr. President realize that you are the commander of the armed forces, not just in principle but in practice. It is high time Mr. President realize that the life of every citizen is what the life of Yusuf Buhari. I don't know whether that is son's name is Yusuf. What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that it's the same way he valued that his son where he had that power back accident and threw him outside for treatment. The same way he should value ordinary Nigerian citizens. Okay. Thank you very much.
That's a very lengthy one from Mr. Matthew this wonderful morning. And it's a very good one from him, talking about what is happening, reacting to some of the questions we had. Let's look at the delay of electoral bill passage threatens 2023 polls. The delay of electoral bill passage will threaten 2023 polls. So what is this electoral bill? What does it entail, the electoral bill, that people are saying that it will threaten the polls of 2023. Now, looking at The Nation, page 6 of The Nation, we are going to have a little information from there. Independent National Electoral Commission Chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has lamented the non-passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill by the National Assembly less than 2 years to the 2023 elections. Yakubu said the Commission is not yet clear or certain about the legal framework that would undergird the 2023 elections less than 2 years to the conduct of the poll. He said timetable for 2023 general elections will be released by the commission immediately after the Anambra State gubernatorial elections in November. Several promises by the National Assembly to speedily consider and pass the Electoral Act Amendment Bill is yet to be fulfilled. The INEC boss spoke during a public hearing on the Electoral Offences Commission Establishment Bill 2021. Okay, that is for that. Let's look at the Lagos amputee. There were false claims from the Lagos amputee, that lady that sells pure water, that was identified by Nigerians, and also she attracted funds from the federal government and many well-meaning Nigerians. Now, there's an information there's an update on her. Lagos withdraws 25 million donation to amputee trader over false claims. What are the false claims? If you still remember that lady with one leg, an amputee lady, the trader that went viral on social media. Let's look at it. Her story induced sympathy, and before long, cash began to roll in. At the last count, she was said to have raked in 25 million. The Lagos state government was also planning to gift her 25 million. Days later, however, Mary Daniel, the Oshodi amputee, has turned out a liar with huge gaps found in her story. The state government has withdrawn its donation to her. Ms. Daniel became a sensation weeks ago after pictures of her selling water in sachets at Osoji surfaced on social media. She claimed she lost a leg in an accident. Let's look at page 4 as we continue on that story. She claimed that she lost a leg in an accident. That was part of the story. Let's look at what went wrong. What are the false claims? Okay. She lost a leg in an accident that killed all other passengers, including her parents, when she was a teenager. It has now been found that she did not lose her leg in an accident, and neither is her father dead. She also claimed to be fending for a baby and an aged grandmother. She said she had to drop out of school and hit the streets to make ends meet. The Lagos state government, which sheltered her to prevent criminals from taking advantage of her sudden fortune, also threw her a birthday party. But the honeymoon ended yesterday when the state government discovered that her father was alive and she was amputated from birth. That means she was lying when she said she had the accident. She was amputated from birth. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the nation learned that, handed her over to officials of the social welfare unit for investigation. She was handed over to officials of the welfare in presence of the police and some Kogi elders who attested that her father was alive. Ms. Daniel, it was gathered, was receiving strange calls from those who staged her story with threats to reveal the truth unless she gave them their share of the money. However, Commissioner of Police Hakim Odumosu clarified that the young woman was in the custody of social welfare and not the police. That is that for the Oshodi amputee trader. Wow, it was discovered that there were some lies in her story, and it was alleged that her situation was staged by some people. Her situation was staged by some people in order to attract funds from Nigerians and government. It's an unfortunate one. However, we are not having any other review at this morning. We're moving to the end of Bystanders on the newsstand here in Ogba. We'll say a big thank you to all those that are watching us, watching Flip TV, our reviewers, and also our viewers, consistent viewers. By next time, we're reading your comments as we progress. I have Festus behind the camera, and also Mr. Michael, Mr. Matthew. Thank you very much. And also Mr. Chigozie. I am Christian Chuku. A big thank you to Boss Flip TV. Biodu Kupoli. Bye for now.